Hello YouTube. It's been about a week since I started my suggestion for last week, which was to quit lying. And I'm already a fairly honest person, so I just included it to have I couldn't omit anything. So if somebody asked me, "Hey, what do you think of this?" instead of saying, "Oh, it's fine," I would actually give my full-fledged opinion. Like sagging pants, I'm sorry, but if you are wearing a belt and your pants are sagging, clearly they need to be pulled up a little bit. Don't really care to see your underwear. Did actually have that conversation with someone, but of course video equipment wasn't around, but it was I think helpful for me to express that opinion and for them to get a different view on it, because most people are just like, well, I think it's trashy, or all this stuff. And I'm like, if you're wearing, okay, if you don't have a belt on, I've done it before and my pants have sagged and I keep pulling at it all day. Okay, that's one thing. If you are honestly wearing a belt, which many people do at my campus at least, they wear a belt and their pants sag. I think that you need to buy a smaller belt or pull up your pants and then cinch the belt, not just leave them hanging and include a belt. And also, I went to several doctor's appointments, and I was completely honest with my dentist. I said, I'm using my Prevident every day like I should because I have 14 cavities because I haven't gone in 4 years and I was drinking Cokes like it was my job. Like they were sponsoring me to do this, ruin my teeth. I'm really prone to cavities. And so, but I am only drinking one Coke a week now, so that's really, really a lot better for my teeth. I'm trying to limit my sugary juice intake and replace that instead with more water or milk. However, I do need something to get me up in the morning, so whatever it takes. And then I came out to my therapist as a lesbian, and that just, oh my God, it released so much, because I really feel like if you're going to someone who's a professional who's trying to help you, if you're holding something back, you aren't going to get the full benefit of that. You aren't going to get the full-fledged effect that they want you to get. And so she was totally cool. She was like, okay, yeah, sure. Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about any relationships? So I went into the one I talked about the one, I didn't get back in it. I talked about the one that I just got out of, and how it was really sort of one of my more long-term relationships, and how my grieving process was a little bit longer than I thought it should have been, given that, just, I don't know, I just feel like society is like, oh, you should be over it by now. You should totally be over it by now. And I was just like, you know what, I'm not. This was a big deal to me. So I was totally telling everybody, what was on my mind, what I did, what I've done, and I wasn't too overly explicit because I do believe there's such a thing as too much information, and I didn't want to give anybody too much of an unsettling feeling when they're around me now. But this week, my suggestion, see, look at all these things I've done. My suggestion is to ask more questions. And I really am bad about asking questions. I'm a good listener, except for I don't ask questions. I really am. I nod and I keep pace with you, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally valid. You get to feel that way when she does that or when he does that. But I don't ask a lot of questions. And I really need to have more conversations when I'm sort of steering it, or even just when I'm in the classroom. A lot of times I'm like, oh, well, I'll just look that up in the book. I don't really feel like stopping their lecture right now, but that's going to be my goal to, I would say, I want to make it kind of challenging. Let's say 10 questions a day. That's going to be my goal for this week. And not just, hey, how you doing? Because that doesn't really count, because everybody almost invariably responds, I'm fine. How are you? I hate that question. I hate it. It's like a greeting now, and I'm so over it. And unless somebody actually gives me a real response, like, you know what, my day sucked. Want to hear about it? My car got broken into, my wallet got stolen, which has happened, unfortunately, to some of my friends, and I hope it never happens to them again. So 10 questions a day, a little bit more challenging. I'll write down some of the more interesting ones, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye, YouTube.